everybody, welcome to another edition of MagicReviewed.com. Today we have Easy to Execute Card Trickery 4 by J. Jack. Rumor has it that the J stands for Joker, Joker Jack. Now this is an ebook. I just happened to print it out so that I could make notes on it and everything. And let me just give you a little background about how my reviews work and how generally how reviewers in general do things. Typically, a Magic reviewer, Murphy's has about 15 Magic reviewers. We don't work for Murphy's. We're not paid for this, but they have 15 people or companies that they send a box of products to. So if you ever produce a Magic product, Murphy's will tell you, and Murphy's picks it up and they decide to sell it, wholesale it for you. Murphy's will tell you, make 15 extra copies in the box. So if they buy 200 copies of your DVD, you're going to send them 215. And they're going to give one of each of those to all the reviewers. I'm one of those reviewers. Now, when Murphy sends it to me, it's third party. It's not the producer sending it to me. And so it's very easy for me to just be unbiased and just tell the truth and, tell it like it is. And I'm sure by now, after watching my reviews, you know I don't pull any punches. Now, on occasion, though, I'm sure with other reviewers this is true, but it certainly is with me, I will get producers who come directly to me. That's the case with Joker Jack. He came directly to me. He asked me. And, typically when they ask me, it's because they like my reviews and they like that they're honest and they want me to review their product and hopefully sort of get a little bit of credibility because I gave them a good review. I don't know if I've got that much power in the Magic community, but a lot of people think I do. So, that said, when I get one from somebody that's asking me to review their product, I'm still honest, but it's hard. It's not hard to tell the truth or anything like that, but I feel bad. I feel worse than if it were just through Murphy's. And so, that brings us to the point. I gave this 2 stars, Stone Status of Grubble. Sorry, Mr. Jack. Based on our email conversations, you seem like a nice guy. I have nothing personal against you, but I have to rate the product as I see it. So, sorry. 2 stars, Stone Status of Grubble. I'm going to show you why and here. So, hopefully, this will be, you'll feel it was fair, number 1. But number 2, this will be good advice for people in the future who want to produce an ebook. Okay, so it doesn't normally print like this. I just did it like that on my printer, so I saved some paper. But on each page, you'll notice I've made lots of scribbles in red ink. Those are just my notes. You don't need to read them. They're mostly written up in the review anyway. More notes on here. Now this one here, if you notice, look at that illustration there. Excuse me. I'm going to do that one more time. There we go. Sorry about that. Anyway, look at that illustration there. It's pretty washed over and grayish looking and very faint and hard to see. All the illustrations are like that. In fact, as I'm looking at it in the viewfinder here, it actually looks better than it does on the print here. I don't know if it's because the high definition camera is picking up something or what, but even on the computer as an ebook, it doesn't look very good. All the illustrations are like that. Again, lots of notes on each page here. I'm not going to bore you and show you every page. I do want to find this one, though, because it has several illustrations. There we go. Several illustrations on here. And again, you can see that they're just sort of these faded, grayed over things. They don't look that, they're not very clean. So that made learning it a little hard because some of the pictures were hard to see. Okay, but what you're getting here is 6 effects for $8 with a money-back guarantee. So, maybe it's worth the risk for you to check it out, and then if you don't like it, just get your money back. What he's done, though, is taken 6 tricks from other people and modified them, and I assume he feels improved them. And in one case, there's a Nick Trost effect. Nick Trost effect's called Observation Test with the Aces, and his is called Impromptu Observation Test with Aces. He did make the Trost effect impromptu, which I like, and it does add to the effect a little bit. And his ending's even better than Nick Trost. And then the other one that I felt he did improve on was a trick by Kyle McNeil called B&D, and he calls his Jack here calls his B&D Revisited. I liked his better as well. It was cleaner than Kyle's. That's about it. The rest of them, I don't feel he really made much of an improvement. And here's the thing. if you're going to improve, do an updated version or a different handling of an effect and then publish it, to me it needs to be very different. A drastic improvement. It's a tough call, because on the one hand, for $8, it might be interesting. You and I was hanging out, jamming. You might have a cool little take on, on Di Vernon's Triumph or some classic routine. That's just a small little touch, but it might be publish worthy. It might be worth $8 to write up in a manuscript. I don't know. It's hard to say. And so I can't say, are these worth the $8 to learn his handling on them? For the most part, I didn't feel they were improvements. For example, his handling of David Acker's Overtime. I think David Acker's handling is far superior and much easier and cleaner. Now, Joker Jack here, his claim is, well, with my version, my Joker Jack's version, you don't have to turn your back to the audience to do the secret move. I don't know why that's an issue. There's other tricks in this book that he wrote that you do turn your back, so I don't know why that's a problem. And to do the move in front of them, the way that Jack does it is, to me, it's a little more convoluted, and it's not as smooth. Acker's, your back's turned, it's quick, they don't see it, they're distracted by showing the card around, and it's super clean, and I think the handling's a lot better. So I've got mixed feelings about those kinds of things. The real place where it was a problem was the way it was written. It's very confusing. There's several places where, so if you look here, I'm just going to quickly show you. This is the opening of the thing right here. So here's a trick. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. It just tells you, do this, do that, do this, do that. You're never really shown what the effect is in advance. You just have to kind of walk through it with cards in hand to see what's going to happen, which is okay, but some of these were so confusing. I had to read the paragraph like 5 or 6 times to even understand what he was saying. I actually put 1 or 2 examples in the written review where you can go down there and look at that, and you'll read one of these paragraphs. Read the first one I did, and if you figure out what he's talking about in that with one read through, then you're a better person than I am. I thought about offering some sort of free prize to the first person to figure out exactly what the heck he's talking about, but there's a lot of people smarter than me out there that'll probably figure it out pretty quickly, and so I don't want to be giving away the farm, just to prove a point. Anyway, and by the way, I'm hot, I'm parched. This office, I don't know, the air's broke or something, so I'm drinking up. Hold on a minute. Alrighty then. Okay, so moving on. The other thing that was really confusing was, so let me just show you this. Right here, it says next, I'm trying to read it backwards in the camera so that I can read it to you. Next, perform an overhand shuffle, an over-under shuffle. See notes. Okay, so I come over here to see notes, and here's the description of the over-under shuffle. So I start reading that, and then I start to read this next paragraph. But the problem is that next paragraph has nothing to do with the over-under shuffle. So now at the end of this paragraph, I'm supposed to come back over here and pick up where I left off after it says see notes. What's the point of that? It was really confusing, and it does that throughout the whole book. And so this back and forth business was driving me crazy. And why not just take that paragraph and insert it right where it belongs instead of just bounce over to the notes business? He does that actually twice. In the next section, or the next paragraph right down there, you do it again. See notes. So that was annoying and frustrating, made it difficult to read. The writing style is just not very clear, unfortunately. Okay. Oh, and then, man, he uses the jog shuffle a lot, which is great. It's a great control. But there's several cases in here where the way he uses it, he just sort of explains the first part of it, and then he says, finish off with the jog shuffle. Well, it's not quite as simple as that in different cases, and so it was a little confusing. So I had to stop and look at the situation I was in and go, okay, in order to get it to the position he's claiming I need to get it to, I have to finish the jog shuffle this way. So there were things like that that were just confusing. It could have been written more clearly. And I could tell he was trying to attempt to keep it simple because of the bullet point nature of it, but it was too simple, and it missed a lot of things. Okay, let's see. Oh, and then another thing that drove me crazy. So right here, I'm looking at this. This is like the 4th or 5th trick or something. And then he says, do something, and then see illustration 1. So I look here, and this is the first set of illustrations for this trick. It starts with illustration 3. So I'm like, where's illustration 1? Oh, it's in the first trick. That was 3 or 5 or whatever pages back. So I have to go back to the first trick, look at the illustration there. So the numbers start at 1 in the first trick, and then they go through whatever to the end. The way I would have done it, which would have made it more clean or clear, is each chapter would start over with 1. So it'd be whatever the name of the trick is, figure 1. Whatever the name of the trick is, figure 2. And the reason for that is it just makes it less confusing, because I'm looking in this chapter for an illustration 1. There isn't one. So finally I figured out I needed to go back to the beginning. I would have just put that same picture that's in the first chapter right here in this one, so it's in there twice. Then you don't have to flip back and forth through the pages. Whew, man, am I ranting or what? There's one in here where the effect is spectator deals off some cards and they stop at, say, the 7th card. They look at the 7th card, put the cards back, so their card's now at the 7th position or whatever number. And then you take the deck back and you shuffle it up and you mix it up, and then you ask them, what number was your card at? And they say 7. Then they deal down to the 7th card and their card's still there. The effect points to the method. Clearly, all he did was somehow, as a layperson, I could think, clearly all he did was somehow control the card and not shuffle up that portion of the deck. And the shuffles that you do that are supposed to be shuffles are very contrived, and they're very procedural looking, and it's very clear. It's the kind of thing that, although the spectator won't remember how to recreate it, they will know, if I could remember what he did, I could recreate that just because it's an automatic thing. And they'd be pretty much right. So I think effects like that, not a fan of. But again, if you are, fine. That's okay. Yes, this was one I wrote. Confusing, all over the place. There's a couple more, but you get the point. I don't want to sit here and bash the guy. Again, I don't have anything against him. Bottom line, though, is the methods were a bit convoluted. They often... the write-ups were very unclear. The structure of the book was unorganized and confusing. The illustrations were hard to see. Even if all the effects were like perfect effects, I'd still have a hard time giving this a super good rating just because of all that. Enough said, guys. Sorry, Joker Jack. My guess is you're not going to send me your next book that you want me to review, and I'm sorry if that's how you feel. I apologize. Anyway, that's my job, guys. Honest reviews. Here we go. Random iTunes song of the moment today is... Oh, talk about a classic right here. If you don't know this song, stop watching my reviews. You're too uncultured if you don't know this song. Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine. You listen, I'll drink. Is there no better guitarist than Slash? Maybe. I got a handful that I could put up against him. But anyway, I'm a big fan of Guns N' Roses. I grew up on them. They came out in... Their first big album was in, I want to say, 89. Appetite for Destruction. I have that album. It's a killer album. So I'll put a link to that with the official Guns N' Roses video in the YouTube description. See you guys on the next review. Peace and out.